I'm looking forward to is coaching the experienced group. Last year was so unique in so many ways, obviously, and to have a number of guys who have gone through that, I think, changes the perspective of your program. And on defense, there was a number of guys that were going to grow into bigger roles throughout the course of last season, and it gets cut short, right? I mean, it's just different deal. So, even we all know the guys who played a lot of snaps, but I think there's another group of guys that really by the end of last season was ready to step into a larger role. So should help push the competition here early in camp and hopefully build some momentum going into the season.
In your spring, you were talking about trying to make more big plays on defense, sacks, TFLs, takeaways. How do you kind of coach that to make sure that happens?
I think number one, the emphasis. Every team in the country talks about turnovers and being disruptive. Tackles for loss, big plays, big hits, things like that. You just have to emphasize it every day. Number one, great players seem to attack football. They play more confident, they play faster. So it's just developing a little bit of a reckless attitude, especially in practice. You have to try to push yourself, trying to do the extremes. How hard can I play? How fast can I try to go and still maintain control? That's the thing we're going to focus on this camp. We're going to experience it. Hopefully the A guys can see that off of it. We always want to have enough within our scheme to fix problems and to cause problems of our own, but we don't want to slow our guys down in order to get that done. I think we've done a great job of that in the past, and that's going to continue to be an emphasis.
That's easier said. Some kids are quicker than others.
Yeah, for sure. There's some guys that feel very comfortable kind of playing at their speed, making decisions on their time, and it's our job as coaches to try to push them past that. In order to kind of reach that next level, you're going to have a ceiling as a player, and it's your job and the coach's job to push you out of that comfort zone and force you to grow. And sometimes you got to take steps to do that. And I think as coaching staff, we're aware of that, to where it's not always going to be smooth if you try to get your guys to play that way. You just have to get the players, especially early in camp, to focus on that. That's going to hopefully pay off in big games and in big moments. Our guys really know and trust who they are, and as a group, feed off each other.
With Sanborn specifically, what did you like from what you saw last year, and what's the next step in development to become more that elite type player?
I think last year you just see how much of a rock he is for you from a consistency standpoint, playmaking. It's one of those things from the first time he stepped on the field, you saw all of that, and he's just continuing to be more consistent, becoming much more vocal and more of a leader within the group. Not naturally his kind of personality, but you see him opening up and guys really going to him now. Not always coming to the coaches. And when you see players earn that trust and earn that respect in the locker room, you know you have something special. And he's continuing to push, physically, getting his body to another level, and kind of his understanding of what we do and why we do it. So he's done everything we've asked him to do since he stepped on campus, and the results have been on the field.
Coach, but it's just exciting every year to get out here and start fall camp, and it's a new season, and with last year being so weird, how does it feel to be out here?
Yeah, it's awesome to get a team picture, right? But besides that, the energy, you can kind of feel it within the facilities right now. Guys are showing up, they're excited about seeing what's coming, right? They're excited about camp. The energy of camp is something unknown of itself, right? It's just its own little deal. Sometimes you got to pull guys back because the energy is a bit too much too early. So yeah, I'm excited to not wear a mask on the field, right? That's something awesome. I'm looking forward to it.
And as far as, we don't know what's going to happen in 3 weeks whenever Penn State gets here, but to have fans back here and to feel that energy again, whereas last year it was just weird to be in this stadium without any.
Yeah, you were here, right?
Yeah.
It was almost eerie, right? But to be out here now, we've got the red seats coming out, right? You know it's coming, right? But anytime you see those red seats out, you know that the season's right around the corner. You don't have those in the spring. We didn't have them last year. right? To sort of see them getting put out, like it's right around the corner. And the guys see that too, right? Even our young guys, they don't even know what these red seats are just yet. They're like, what are these? So seeing those out, man, that brings some energy to myself for sure.
Awesome. Thank you, sir. Thanks, Bobby.
Who won yesterday? The Beloit,
Beloit wound up winning yesterday. Yeah.
All right.
5-0. So it's,
5-0.
it's good to get those guys on the winning track. That stadium is beautiful.
Yeah, I saw it
It's,
on the news.
It's amazing.
Pretty sweet, man.
Thank
I
you.
just
Good to
wanted
see
to
you.
introduce myself.
Yeah.
I'm Leah.
Got it.
Nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you as well.
Bobby, this spring, I think you talked about maybe 5 guys kind of being in that rotation. Obviously, you haven't seen them in the fall, but is that still the number that you anticipate? Is that maybe going into fall camp?
Yeah, I think you have a 5-man rotation is key, but also there's going to be guys that need to make the team on special teams. So sometimes that's 7, right, give or take based upon the situation within the team. But I think 5 is a great number to have, especially to practice with. That's kind of my key number, is to have 5 guys.
And how do you go about balancing those outside linebacker pluses, with bowlers, Peterson, maybe a guy who stands up, maybe a guy who can play with his hand in the ground? How do you approach that, maybe along with Coach Kolodziej as well?
Yeah, well, right now they're in my room, and we're seeing where they're at, right? There's a lot of guys that play with their hands down that move to their hand up, and there's some guys that move from their hand up to their hand down. So don't want to pigeonhole them just yet. I think when it's all said and done, they'll have a plan for them. We'll have a plan for them, and looking forward to it.
On the recruiting front, how do you identify those guys? Because you've been on some guys early, you can't talk specifics, but how do you maybe evaluate guys who you think can play on that edge specifically in this defense?
Yeah, I think it's a mentality too. It's maybe not just the athletic ability, but there's a mentality of a kid that I look for. And when I find that kid and it matches the athletic ability, that's when I really jump on them and kind of keep the process rolling. So they're all going to be talented, right? To play at this level, they're going to be talented, but mentally is going to be a thing that I really look into as well.
Bobby, I don't know if you remember in the spring, but one of the days we talked to Nick Herbig, we asked him how much he thought he contributed. He was really harshly critical of the fact that, I started 7 games, but I didn't make nearly as many plays as I should have. I'm just curious, now that you've evaluated what he did and what he might be able to do this year, what did you see last year, and what do you think he can do better and more consistently in 21?
Yeah, he's got a full off season underneath his belt. A true freshman during that season to make the field is pretty dang good in itself. But he's got high expectations of himself as well. So if he's not excelling in whatever the role is, he's probably not too excited about himself. So that's one of the reasons why I love him, right? Is that he expects way more. Like, he's never comfortable with whatever he's doing. So if you're not comfortable, right, and you've got energy, that's creating great growth, right? And whatever it is that you're doing. So watching him grow, especially this offseason to where he is today, it's going to be exciting to see him in fall camp for sure.
Isaiah, these packages will evolve and revolve around the personnel that we have. And so, specifically with Keanu, he's got to show it. He's got to earn that right. It's not just going to be given or assumed he's going to make that next step. Should he? Absolutely. Is that the expectation? 100%. Yep.
In the spring, you talked about the transition from being a strength coach and then diving into recruiting. A couple months later, how are you feeling about that and how that process is going for you?
Still going great, still the same. Haven't been on the road yet, so really have no frame of reference there, but enjoy it as well. The challenges of it and building those relationships with coaches and obviously the players as well.
I know you can't talk about specific guys, but guys that we've talked to said Coach K is bringing something different. He has a different vision for the line. When you hear that, what do you think that means to you? And maybe what are you bringing new to the position?
Well, one, it sounds like then whatever I'm communicating is being received. So that's a positive. But, for me, I'm trying to coach what I know, how I was coached, things that helped me, things that I saw help other players and defenses play at a high level, and to do that up front, there's no position on the field that demands more physically and mentally, in my opinion, than the D-line. And so it starts more than anything with an attitude and an approach that we have to be the toughest mentally and physically. You've got to be a dog up front, and that's how we're going to play. We're not here to block blockers and service and do anything for. We're here to do our job within the defense, but that also means we can make plays too. And so, number one, it's demanding an effort and an attitude and a focus. And then number two, it's demanding production. It's demanding that we make plays up front.
I know you've been asked this probably a few times, but Keanu, in keeping him on the field for potentially all 3 downs, has that been a focus, and where is he at with that heading into fall camp?
Yeah, I think it's a natural evolution. I mean, some of that in the past, it's personnel based, and I can't speak to why. He will have the opportunity to play as many snaps as possible. Our best 11 will be on the field every opportunity we get, regardless of personnel and situation, whether that's 1 D lineman or 3 D linemen, depending upon the game situation. We will earn the right to rush the passer, or we're going to earn the right to watch somebody else rush the passer. And so it doesn't matter if it's Henningsen, Keanu, or Mike Jarvis, top to bottom on that D line. He'll have every opportunity to earn every rep. Are we excited about what he brings? 100%. But again, you have to earn it, and it's got to be consistency.
I know these guys aren't in your room, but these outside linebacker pluses like Bowlers or Peterson, how do you balance that as a defense with a guy that can play standing up but could also potentially put his hand in the ground to work with you? How do you find that balance with those guys, and how do you maybe put them in the best spot to have success?
Well, I think that's our job as coaches, right? To find our personnel and how can we use that to the fullest. And I think when you think in terms of my group, his group, that group, that's where you get into trouble. When you think of it from a team concept, and here's the guys that we have, here's what they do well, how do we take advantage of it? I think we can do great things. And so I think as long as the coaches and the players understand that it's team-centric, and that everybody is going to get the opportunity, make us, right, have to put you on the field, right? You're going to get the opportunity. There's no, everybody says coaches play favorite. Yeah, they do play their favorite. Their favorite players are the good ones. And so, camp, for me, for my group especially, it's a blank slate. You have every opportunity to earn your right on the field.
I know you just said blank slate, but Rodas was a guy that you talked about early in spring camp. Was he able to keep up that level of play, and has he brought that into fall camp?
Yeah, I think he had a great 8 first practices, and then he missed a practice due to a COVID test situation, and there was a little bit of a plateau coming back. I think getting out of the rhythm certainly disrupted his progress, in my opinion, but he still showed, he still flashed certain things. I think the biggest thing, besides rushing the passer, his effort to the football and running to the football, if he can continue to grow and develop that and lead that, that's certainly going to earn himself on the field on Saturdays.
Thank you.
I think the guys get excited. So you're always want to count on some more depth later in the season, just because.
What did you tell him yesterday, just in terms of what you expected from him and kind of take that next step?
From who? From Jack. I thought a big thing for him, the thing that we talked about in the offseason, I think Jack does some things really, really good, and probably a lot better than a lot of guys in a short amount of time. History of this guy. He's really, when it comes to the mental part of it, he's really where a lot of guys were, and so
I think the move to the safety position is the right one for him. I was excited to work with him in the spring. He did a great job of making that transition. He's a guy you as an athlete coming in, not 100% sure what his body structure is doing.
things happen. There was a time when we got this problem, was this, on his shoulder. But you got to get it past the States. That was biggest thing. Not to say that coming back to the linebacker position, listen things. I thought for him that was my number one deal.
What does he have there that gets him in there?
Well, well, first of all, I don't think he gets not much drives. He's got a lot of confidence. When he came in as a true freshman, he didn't come in here like some of these guys came in and had a spring. And then we sit in meetings and we're going, okay, this, that. And you got that, Jack? And he's like, yeah, I got that. And the other guys are looking at him like, yeah, I think he does have it. He's not BSing. So, some things come naturally to him. He sees the game, he's got a good feel for it. It's a really good program.
I think number one,
high school.
hit it on the head.
Fast forward, and he's instinctive. He's just got as a linebacker. Those are trained. I can come up with all the drills in the world. Sometimes having a nose for the ball, that's what he does. He's just got a really, really good feel for it.
Be able to pick up things like that.
Like I said, I don't have a great history with. It's not like I have a list of guys that I can go back to, but he's just on top of us.
And I'd say translate SBS and thank you very much for your time.
What do you guys do with the knowing that you've got Army on the schedule this year and the uniqueness of their offense? Well, we already spent watching how people some professional. So probably streamline yourself. So now when we hit camp on Sunday, when we hit that Sunday, we got a really good feeling. We got our goals. I'm not going to say that we're 100% there, but I think we saved ourselves a bunch of time. We experimented. We went through things. We got on film. We crossed some things off.
I don't know that people understand how tough of a challenge playing in the Army is during the season, right?
Yeah, a lot of plays. They'll bleed you. They'll bleed you. Is what they'll do. And you gotta find ways to stop it. You gotta find change-ups and things like that. They do real well. They know. They're looking exactly for your response. I'm sure as soon as we come out and play this, it's right there. Throw to the flats for all marbles.
Right.
And all it takes is for one guy to lose integrity.
One last question. Wounded Warriors Project was here.